Most people think a crypto trade starts the exact second they click confirm, but it doesn't. Long before your transaction actually hits the blockchain, something else sees it. There are these invisible systems monitoring massive public waiting rooms called Mempools, and they're scanning millions of pending transactions in absolute real time. The very second your trade pops up, automated bots just swarm it. They compete to exploit your move, buying before you, selling after you, basically manipulating the price in a matter of milliseconds. In crypto, transparency didn't just give us openness, it created predators. We've got entire hidden markets where validators, searchers, relays, and algorithms are all fighting over the right to extract value from everyday users completely behind the scenes. And honestly, the wildest part? Most people have zero idea this invisible war is raging right underneath every transaction they make. So today, in this explainer, we're pulling back the curtain on the system beneath the system. Welcome to the dark forest theory of crypto.
But real quick, before we plunge into the forest, a quick note. This video on the channel Blocks Bonds Funds is created for educational and informational purposes only and does not constitute financial or investment advice. All right, let's get into it.
Okay, so think about what actually happens when you hit confirm. Your trade doesn't just instantly and magically appear on the blockchain. First, it gets broadcast to the mempool. You can think of the mempool as this incredibly vast, decentralized, completely public digital waiting room. Your transaction is literally just sitting there, totally exposed, right alongside thousands of others. And because it's completely public, highly sophisticated bots are continuously scanning this data. They see exactly what token you're swapping, they see the gas fee you're willing to pay, and crucially, they see your slippage. That little bit of price wiggle room you allow for the trade to go through. Well, to these bots, your wiggle room is basically free money just waiting to be grabbed.
It's this extreme level of transparency that led researchers Dan Robinson and Georgios Konstantopoulos to famously compare the Ethereum mempool to a dark forest. It's actually a concept from sci-fi that describes an environment where simply making yourself visible means certain death at the hands of advanced predators. In the blockchain mempool, those apex predators are algorithmic arbitrage bots. They're generalized frontrunners. The absolute second your transaction reveals its location and its intent, these bots analyze it. If there's any way to squeeze a profit out of your trade, they calculate the exact sequence of moves to extract that value before you even realize what's happening.
Now, I want to be super clear about something. This is not a hack. Nobody is stealing your private keys here. This is a systemic, high-frequency trading battlefield that is baked directly into the actual mechanics of the blockchain. We call it maximal extractable value, or MEV. Basically, MEV is the profit that network participants can make simply by using their power to arbitrarily include, exclude, or strategically reorder transactions inside a block right before it gets confirmed. Because blockchains don't inherently have a strict first-come, first-served rule, whoever builds the block holds the ultimate power to decide the timeline of events. And surprise, surprise, they use that power to maximize their own payout.
And a perfect example of this in action is the sandwich attack. This brilliantly illustrates exactly how you become the prey. Let's say you're placing a massive buy order for a token on a decentralized exchange. Step 1. A bot spots your order in the mempool and quickly pays a slightly higher fee to front-run you, buying up that token right before you do. Step 2. Your massive trade executes. You are the meat of the sandwich, and your big buy artificially pushes the price up even higher. Step 3. The bot backruns you and immediately dumps the tokens it just bought at that new inflated price. So you end up getting a terrible price, and the bot walks away with an instant, totally risk-free profit.
All right, let's shift gears and look at part 1, the invisible auction and proposer-builder separation.
So as this invisible extraction started getting insanely lucrative, it naturally evolved into a totally hidden marketplace. What we have here is a secret auction system called proposer-builder separation. It literally separates the people who build the blocks from the people who propose them. So instead of one single validator doing all the heavy lifting, we've got this fiercely competitive, multi-tiered marketplace operating in the shadows. Specialized actors are colluding and competing in these secret auctions, literally milliseconds before a block gets finalized on the chain. Let's break down this MEV supply chain, because it's basically a three-tier system. Down at the bottom, you have the searchers.
These are the quant analysts and the bots scanning the mempool, hunting for those profitable trades and packing them into bundles. They take those bundles and send them up to the builders. Now, builders are highly specialized tech firms that assemble those transactions into full blocks, competing to cram in the maximum amount of total profit. But to make sure nobody steals these lucrative strategies, we have relays. Relays act as a trusted escrow. They verify the blocks and hold the data securely. And finally, sitting at the top, we have the proposers, the actual network validators. All they do is look at the relay, pick the block that offers them the highest financial bid, and publish it. So basically, validators are auctioning off the right to exploit you to highly specialized tech firms.
Just take a second to really think about the irony of that. The entire foundational promise of blockchain is trust through transparency, right? The whole idea is that everything is open, auditable, and public. But when you apply that to a programmable financial market, that exact transparency becomes actionable intelligence for Wall Street-style high-frequency trading algorithms. Transparency didn't just give us an open financial system, it accidentally built a paradise for digital predators.
And if you're wondering just how big this invisible war really is, check out this number: $2 billion. That is actually a conservative estimate of the value that's been extracted from regular, everyday users through MEV strategies like sandwich attacks and arbitrage. This isn't just some weird niche crypto quirk. We're talking about an industrial-scale extraction economy that is essentially placing a permanent tax on decentralized finance. Which brings us to part 2, escaping the dark forest, the ongoing battle between privacy and decentralization. So, what happens when the prey finally realizes they're being hunted? Well, they try to find a way out. One common escape route is centralized privacy, like private order flow. These services basically let you route your transaction through a private, hidden tunnel straight to a trusted builder, totally bypassing that public mempool so the predators can't see you. But here's the catch. Doing that requires you to trust a central entity, which kinda defeats the whole purpose of crypto, right? On the other hand, we have decentralized fair ordering. These are protocols that mathematically force transactions to be processed in the exact order they're received, which completely kills the incentive to front run. The problem there is that building this requires overcoming some incredibly complex technical hurdles, especially on a global network that's never perfectly synchronized.
So to fix this dilemma between trust and decentralization, researchers are diving into some really cutting-edge hardware tech, specifically hardware enclaves, or trusted execution environments, like Intel SGX. Just imagine a completely encrypted mempool. By using these isolated hardware environments, all your transaction details, who you are, what you're trading, how much you're spending, it's all encrypted. The code actually executes inside a secure hardware vault. It's so locked down that even the person running the node can't see what's happening inside. This lets trades be ordered and executed securely, completely hiding the juicy details from all those predators lurking in the dark forest.
When we zoom out from just one single transaction and look at the entire global MEV economy, the sheer scale of this thing is wild. Your individual trade is just completely dwarfed by this massive invisible infrastructure. We're talking about quant firms, AI systems, and specialized server farms constantly at war across multiple different blockchains. It is a highly optimized, multi-tiered machine built for one purpose, extracting fractions of a penny, millions and millions of times every single day. Now you might be wondering, out of all these players, who actually wins the war? Who gets the money? The data is actually super revealing. You'd think it's the searchers writing these genius algorithms, or the builders constructing the blocks, right? Nope. Despite all that insane bot warfare, the validators consistently walk away with the vast majority of the profits. We're talking over 90% in most cases. Why? Because at the end of the day, it's a seller's market. The validators are the ones who control the final inclusion of the block onto the chain. So the builders and searchers have to bid away almost all of their profit margins just to convince the validator to pick their block. So what's the big takeaway from all of this? Look, the dark forest isn't just some spooky story about malicious hackers or greedy bots. It's really a story about human nature, information, and economic incentives. This entire system beneath the system exists for one simple reason. When you combine publicly visible data with highly programmable financial markets, rational actors are inevitably going to build optimized machines to extract every last drop of value they possibly can.
Which leaves us with a pretty massive question. As brilliant developers race to build encrypted mempools and these private routing tunnels, can blockchains ever truly escape the dark forest? Or is this invisible, relentless war of extraction just an unavoidable feature of an open, transparent financial market? Something to think about. The next time you click confirm on a trade, just remember, your transaction is floating out there into the void, and thousands of invisible eyes just woke up. Thanks for exploring this with me today on The Explainer.